next step. So they're all open. I'm going to go to the Roaring Boy, and this is the file we're going to work on. I'll double click on this layer and call it boy. Okay. And it's no longer logged. Next step is use the magic wand tool to select the white background of the boy. And I could do a little better on that one. I say use the magic wand tool. Maybe you don't know where the magic wand tool is. Well, it's right here. The quick key is W. So I'm gonna edit this and say use the magic wand tool. And I usually give you a use the magic wand tool. I'll do brackets and I'll say, whoops, that's not the kind of brackets I want. I'll say W. So that's the quick key for the magic wand tool. I'll color that a different color. So I'll do that. So I've got the magic wand tool. It might be hidden underneath the quick selection tool or the object selection tool. Object selection tool will work as well. Quick selection tool will work as well. But I'm telling you to do the magic wand tool. I'll do it all three ways. I'll click the boy. I'll just make a marquee and see it's made a selection of it. And then when I get off of it, it's marching ants. Then I could make a layer mask. And that worked fine. And I had already masked this and just painted white behind. So we want to start with a layer mask. I'm going to undo that. And I'll hit Command D to deselect. That's with select object. I can go to the quick selection tool and I could click on the boy and click and drag. And again, make a mask. And that gave me basically the same result. And that will work fine. And the reason it's working well is because I've given it a white background. There's strong contrast from all of it. The third way here, magic wand tool, I'll just click in the white area. Ooh, actually, I didn't get as good of a selection on that one. Look, I got a bad selection on his nose. Interesting. Usually that works fine. So if I make a mask now, look, two things happened that aren't good. It got a bad selection on his nose and it's inverted. Oh, so what I would need to do is invert that. I could invert this selection. I can invert by going to image, invert, or edit invert, which is image, adjust, invert, and it's Command I. And so you see what it did there, but I've got a bad selection on this nose, so that didn't work as well. I'm going to undo that. So I have a selection here of it's the background, and I missed on his nose. And so I'm going to show you how to get a better selection. I'm going to get the lasso tool, letter L, and I'm going to select lasso tool, and I can hold the shift key. And you see when I do that, a little plus appears. And I can click and drag, and look what it did. It took more away. Why did it take it away? Well, because the selection is the background. It's not the boy right now. And so I need to invert the selection. And so under selection, it says inverse right here. I'm on a Mac, Command Shift I, on a PC, Control Shift I. And there it's inverted. Now it's just the boy. Now with the lasso, if I hold the plus key, I'm sorry, not the plus key, the shift key, there's a little plus that appears there. Now as I select part of that, it's creating more selection. So I could just drag along his nose here and I've got a better selection. And if I didn't do a good job, like look right here, I can hold the Option key, Alt on a PC, and I could take away part of that selection if I needed to do that. So you can delete from a selection. You can add to a selection. And there I've got a better selection. And so now the boy's selected and I can make a mask. And I'm going to undo that again and delete that. One last way, with just the contextual menu bar, if you just click remove background, it's going to work fine on this one. And so that'll work. So I'm giving you 4 ways to invert it, to make the selection with the magic wand tool, with the quick selection tool, with the object selection tool. And then the 4th way with just invert background. Don't care which way you do it. So I've got a layer mask. There's a good layer mask. And then what's the next step? And I'm saying to invert the selection. I showed how to do that. Make a layer mask, add a blank layer with white at the bottom. And so I'll click in my layer panel, new layer. I'll pull that down underneath the boy. I'm going to come over here. I've got blue and green. If I click edit fill, I can fill that way. Or a quick shortcut is Option Delete on a Mac will fill with the foreground color. Command Delete will fill with the background color. And so Option Delete or Alt Delete on a PC fills with the foreground color. Command Delete or Control Delete on a PC fills with the background color. But I don't want it green or blue, so I need to have this be white. I could double click on these and tell it to be white, or right here at the top, there's a black and white button. It'll reset it to black and white. And so I want it to fill with white. I can toggle between these by hitting X, 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 see that? And so I want it to be white. So with this layer here, I'll Option Delete. There I've got a white background. So I've done that second layer. Make a white layer, and then I'll name it white. We're going to save it. Then we're going to drag the lion roar pixels into the file. And so I showed you how to do that on the, so I'm not going to save it right now, but you would save it. I will just call this layer white because any layer not named white will have, or any layer that's not named will lose points. So I had lions, was it lions roar pixels? Yeah. And that file's right here, lions roar pixels. I'll call this lion roar. And I'm just going to grab that thumbnail and pull it up to the roaring boy and drag it back down in here and drop it. And look what I have. I've got the lion roaring. Okay. And then I'm going to horizontally flip the lion. I want it going the other way because it's going to be this lion right here. I'm going to put it right there. So I'll go to, while the lion roar is selected, I'll go to Edit, and I will go to Transform, and I will go Flip Horizontal. And there's that lion. And next step, I'm just going to hit Save here. Flip the lion. Then I'm going to Command and Control click on the boys layer masks to create a selection. Make sure on the lion layer. So I'm going to do that. So basically what I'm doing is I'm putting the lion in the middle of the boy's head, and I'm going to mask the lion the same as I am on the boy. So I'm going to, I've got the boy's selection here. If I Command click on it, I get the marching ants here. I get the selection. Control click on a PC. I'll make that same mask on the lion now. I'll click, so I have the marching ants. I'll go to the lion layer and I'll click the layer mask. You can't see anything. Why? Well, it's hidden here. See that? And then I need to, I'll move on right now. If the lion's there, you see that, that's kind of a cool. You got the boy's outline here and you got the lion roaring. That's fun. And then what's the next step? Make sure the layer mask of the layer mask and the lion image are not linked. Move the lion to the desired position. Don't move the mask. Okay, what does that mean? Right here, here's the thumbnail. Here's the link. There's the mask. if I click here, look, it's not linked. Now, when I get the move tool, letter V, and I click on the thumbnail here, I can move that all around. And think of this as if you had a piece of paper and you cut a hole and you move that around an area. You could see what's going on. And so that's what I've done here. And I'll put the lion there. That's pretty cool. I like that. And I could do the same thing if I have the mask selected. I don't want this, but I move that around, see what's happening. The mask is moving. The lion image is not moving. The mask is moving. And so, but I don't want to do that. I want to move the lion, not the mask. Okay, so that's done. Next thing, add a black and white adjustment layer as the top layer. And so adjustment layers are down here, and I go to black and white. And oh, cool. Now I've got a black and white lion there. Okay, next step, use a soft brush around 1,000 pixels on your lion's layer mask to blend it with the boy. And so you can see right here, here's the boy, there's the mask, and you can see I've given you there's the black and white adjustment layer. Here's the lion roar. And I've done just a soft edge here. So I'm seeing the whole lion there, and I'm just blending it here so I see the boy's face. And I also did some hard cutting out of his ear. So I'm going to select the mask. I'm going to hit B for brush. I will get a soft brush right here, and I'm going to make that big. See, as I scroll here on size, and I'll just say 1,000 pixels like I said in the instructions. That's a big brush, and that's going to give me a soft edge. I've got to be on the lion's mask, not the lion. If I'm on the lion, and let's say I have, I'll just tell this to have red for my foreground color. If I'm on the image here, it will paint. Oh, why is it painting gray? Well, because it's a gray. Because I have an adjustment layer. But see, I just painted red. I had a black and white adjustment layer. I don't want to paint on the image. I'm going to undo that. I need to be on the mask. And so when I'm on the mask, I need to paint black, soft, and look, I can get the boy's face showing through there. So that's kind of cool. And you see what my layer mask is doing? Just did something like that. And so I'm getting a fun double exposure. I kind of like the hair on his cheeks here. He's like the wolf boy or the lion boy. And then I decide I wish I could see his ear, but the lion's in the way. So I'm going to I'll just get the lasso tool, and I'm going to just drag around this ear. Oops, I missed. I did it on purpose. But I've already shown you how you can add to that selection. So I'll hold the shift key and I'll select some more. And I got some I didn't want up there and there. I've got that ear, but I don't want up here. I hold the Alt or Option key and I can deselect those areas. And so there. Now, if I want to poke a hole in the mask in that area, I could just fill that with black like that. And that's just kind of this floating ear. That's kind of odd looking. I don't really like that. But what I did on my image, I did it a little more subtly here. And so I just, how I did that is on this mask area, I got the brush. The brush is too big now. I'll hit left bracket to make it smaller. And then I'll just kind of paint in this area. And so then I'm seeing a lot of that ear, but I'm still letting, if I paint some white in this area, the hair can kind of come in front of it. Then I'll hit Command D. But I don't really like the lion's mouth where it is. I'm going to hit V for the move tool. I'm going to move the lion a little bit more like that. I think I like that better. What did I do on the image here? Yeah, it's pretty similar to what I have, but I can see I don't have a super great selection here. So I'm going to come back to this mask. I'm going to hit B for brush. I'm going to make it a really small brush, and I'm going to paint black on it. Make sure I'm on the mask, and If I paint where it's black hair, it's um, letting it go through. If I paint white on it, you see what it'll do. It'll soften that. You see what that does on the mask. We see the ear a little bit more. So I want to make it to where I'm on the mask and letting the boy's ear show through a little bit more. That's not a super important part of this assignment, but um, just so you can see how you can edit an image a little bit and let more or less show through. And so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to do a little bit more adjusting there. There we go. I've got that area selected. Next step. Change the lion's blending mode to lighter color. Okay, so here it's normal. I'm going to go to lighter color right here. Oh, and look what that did. So there's normal, there's lighter color. So it's a little bit more subtle now. Normal, and look at his whole shirt's like it's fur now. And when I go to lighter color, then I can still see his shirt. So that gives me a little bit more subtle double exposure. So that's a lighter color adjustment layer. Next step, I'll set the lion's opacity at 75%. All right. Right here in the layer next to the blending mode, I'll go to 75%, and there we go. And it makes it just a little bit more subtle. Right now I've got a little bit of hair here I don't like. I could come back in and say, well, I think I'll hit B for brush, and I'll paint some black on the adjustment layer there. Now it's just his t-shirt. So what I did there is I just painted that hair out. Don't have to do that, but I've got a pretty good lion head boy here. Next step, add the lion images pexels below. So here's lion's pexels. I'll name this one two lions. I'll put this one in. When I just pull in and drop it, it's going to put it on top. See that? Why is it black and white? Well, there's an adjustment layer above it. I'm going to pull that below the boy. And you see, we're just stacking. The boy's on top. If I pull them on top of the boy, you don't see the boy anymore. So I pull them below the boy. And I'm going to see like where I had them. I have them roaring up above him. I don't really see the other one. So yeah, that's basically just where I dropped it is working pretty well. I can move it around V and move it around if I want, but I like that, how I have that there. Next step, set the lion's opacity at 30%. So I'll just go to opacity. I don't need to change the blending mode. I'll just type 30 and hit return. And so that's more subtle. Next step, drag running animals unsplash and place them below the boy and the lion. So I've got, I'll close that image. I've got running animals. And I'll drag, I named it, I'll drag them and drag them down. And I'm going to move them below the lions. And you see they're not the size I want. And where am I going to put them? They're kind of down here. And so I'm going to set them at 85%. It looks like I need to scale them. I didn't say to do that. So I'm going to do an edit here. Edit. I've given you full instructions here, and students are always able to do it. This is the most demoing I've ever done that. But as I'm demoing it, I see that I need to scale it a little bit. I'll say scale the animals to match the image above. And so what's the image above look like? they're like almost to the edge and running into the scene. So I'll do that. How do I scale an image? We did that on the teddy bear, but I'm going to move it over here, and then I'm just going to hit edit, transform, and I could do scale right here, or I could do free transform, which is just Command T Mac, Control T PC. So Command T, and then when we scale, we want to not distort. So don't do this, don't stretch them. And so the default setting is that you don't have to hold shift. I've got mine set to where I have to hold shift so it doesn't scale. So I have those animals running there, and I'm going to put them about right there. I don't want them to, I want them to bleed off the edge. So I need this image to be right to the edge, and I'm pretty happy with that. And then I just, at the top, there's a check box. I just click this checkbox there, that's scaled. It's kind of a hard edge here, but the next thing I need to do, I need to change the blending mode. And what does it say to do? Running animals, set that opacity at 85%. So 85%, check. And there they are. And then I'm almost done here. Add a blank layer to the running animals layer, add a blank layer mask to the running animals layer. Then, so what does that mean? Running animals, I just click the layer mask here. And so this is just a white layer mask. What does that do? Absolutely nothing. It's all white, everything shows through. But what am I going to do? Use a large soft brush to mask out the sky and blend the ground. And so it's, I've got this hard edge here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit B for brush. I'm going to make sure it's black, and I'm on the layer mask, and then see, as I mask, it's adding black to the mask, and it's getting rid of it in that area. But I want a big mask, so I'll go back to size, and I'll go back up to like the 1,000 pixel brush I had before. And then I can come in and just paint black on that, and see what it does. It blends it. So if you look at this mask, just this soft black, it does a vignette right here. Soft black mask. And if you look at my layer image, you see it just blends right here. The lions are popping up above it. If I want to make it you see my layer mask here. I've masked all the way up here, but really, I just want to get rid of the blue sky, and soften the ground here. So it's looking pretty good, but I can add more black if I want. I don't really need to mask up here because there's nothing there. There's no image. Again, if I turn off that layer mask here by just right clicking on it and say disable mask, see the image ends right here. So putting black up here does nothing. Turn that back on. So that's a pretty nice blend. And then almost there. And then last thing I do on this is I've set them to 85, add a blank layer, add a blank layer above the running animals, and add a soft brush to black soft brush to darken the bottom of the animals, set blending mode to multiply and opacity to 60%. And so this is the animals. I'm going to, and what do I call that layer? I'm going to hit save here again. I'm just darkening this bottom area. If you look at my layer, I just have a layer called dark in here. So I'm just painting this bottom area just to ground it a little bit, this dark area here, and to let the boy pop out a little bit more. So again, blank layer, multiply 60%. And so back to Photoshop here. Here's a blank layer above that. Just click in the layer mask. I'll just call this darken. And I'll set the blending mode to multiply. And I'll just come in here with a black. soft brush. See, it's set on black here. I'm on that layer, and I'll just color. And oh, I've got a hard edge there. I don't want that. I need that to be above above the lines there. I didn't want a hard edge there. And I think I said what to set it at what, 75? So I'll just type in 75 there, 75%, and I'm done. Command 0. I've got a little bit of a problem right here. I just noticed what's going on. See, I've got a little strip of white there. I think my my animals are, yeah, I bumped them. They didn't go all the way to the edge. So there we go. Command 0, fit on screen. You see, here's all my layers, and there's what the final image looks like. I've got a multiple exposure image. I've got the boy, that's 1. I've got this roaring lion, that's 2. I've got this roaring lion, that's 3. I've got the antelope, that's 4 images, and it makes a nice double exposure. But the key on this one that I'm trying to teach you is blending an image with soft brushes and modifying uh, modifying layers. And so that's what your layers look like. Then all you do, save that, do files, save, and then you have your layered file, because maybe you'll want to come in and adjust that later. But once it's saved, then you're going to do file, save a copy, and you're going to make that a JPEG. Okay, that's it for that assignment. Again, I don't usually do the whole demo on that one, but